merciful, most glorious. May the peace of the Almighty be with you. May the peace of the Almighty guide you. May the peace of the Almighty show you your right path to follow. May the peace of the Almighty leads you to the right direction. May the peace of the Almighty bless your hustle here on earth. So thank you so much for joining. Sister Sandra, I want to thank you so much for actually sharing me out. It's very important, when we talk about fertility like this, most people really they do think that it is only when you are actually trying to conceive before this can be really important for you, or maybe when you are actually somebody who is still very young, they don't know that fertility issues actually is important for everyone, whether you try to conceive or not. Because if you are a mom, for example, you have kids, you if you are not a mom, maybe you've had your kids already, maybe the kids are still very young, but you could have friends, or even if you don't have kids, you could have friends who will probably see the importance of them understanding what could be going on. Many people have issues just because maybe they didn't even understand what could be going wrong. So we really do hope that some of this discussion will go a long way to help a lot of people out there. It could help a friend of yours, it could help a sister of yours, it could also help you as well as an individual. So we'll be looking at the cost of infertility as well as issues surrounding infertility. So concerning the cost of infertility is something that for you to actually know the cost, how costly is it for you to know if you have fertility issues or not, you should also understand your own state of fertility first. So you need to first of all understand your state of fertility, then before you can understand how costly is it for you to run an infertility test. So if, let me say, you're somebody, you have a spouse, you don't have any fertility issues, you have your kids, but for the fact that you have maybe a friend who could actually know what is going wrong with her, who really wants to know what is going on with her, then it is very vital that you understand exactly what is the cause of fertility, how is your fertility state at the moment. If you are infertile, why are you infertile? Or if you have fertility issues, why do you actually have these fertility issues? And how could it cost you to actually know if you're fertile or not? Fertility in general, for you to be fertile or for you to have fertility issues, generally is when you've been trying to conceive for, let me say, for at least a year. So if you have been trying to conceive for 1 year and it's not forthcoming, that is when you are termed to have fertility issues. It is not when you try for 1 month and it's not going. It's not when you try for 2 months and it's not going. It's not when you try only for 3 months and it's not going. Many ladies are tempted to just feel that because they have tried for a month and it's not going, they have tried for 2 months and it's not going, therefore means they have a major fertility issue. No. You should have tried for at least 1 year. And if it's not going for at least a year, then you should be thinking of seeing your doctor, knowing that now there could be a fertility issue. But if you just try just for 2 months, you can't say that you have a fertility issue. No, you can say that. You can say that. So if you have tried for at least a year and it's not going, then there should be an issue with your fertility. There should be an issue. And for you to try for at least a year without having a fruitful result, it would mean that your spouse is around you. So your partner is around you. Do not say that you've been trying, whereas maybe your partner is not even around. Maybe he comes once every month. No. You could have a partner, maybe he's from another town from you. Let me say town that is really far from you, and the partner always will always come once a month. Then if you have such a partner, even if you try for a year, that cannot really define the fact that you have fertility issues or not, because you have to have regular contact with your partner for at least a year before you can actually say that you have fertility. So if you've had it for at least a year, and then you see that no, it is not going, that is when you can now see your doctor to say that, hey, let us discuss about this, because I've been trying for at least a year and it's not going. If you see your doctor, and your doctor will now lay out those things that you need to do in order to find out if this issue is maybe you or your partner that is the problem. So with your doctor now explaining you everything you need to know about yourself, your past history, your current issues, you will now understand if actually the fertility issues is within yourself or your partner. And from there, you will be able to know how costly is it for you. And the cost of your fertility will depend on the exact thing that is actually making you not to conceive. So how costly your fertility will be will depend on what is actually the issue that's making you not to conceive. Let me say, as a lady, you only have menstrual cycle issues. Let me say you have irregular menses, you have irregular menstruation. The cost of you sorting out issues with your menses could just be discussion, right, with your doctor. Maybe you're finding it difficult to understand when you ovulate because your cycle is irregular. And if that is just the issue, then you can just discuss with your doctor. So what you will just pay, you will just pay your consultation. So you pay your consultation, you discuss with your doctor, and this will be sorted out. If the cause is, let me say, some emotional struggles, and because if you are emotionally down, your fertility could also be in some sort of a pendulum. So if you are emotionally down and it's causing your fertility, then you will see that discussing this with your doctor will also help you. So maybe your doctor will now say, oh, come on, you should see probably a counselor, and the counselor will now help you out to come out from that emotional stress, that emotional disturbance. And with that, that one is also not really costly, because you just need to talk with your doctor, and you could be referred to a counselor who will guide you out through how you can come out of this. And that one will not really be costly. If the issue with your fertility is now, let me say, due to a disease situation, due to an infection, then that is where you start spending some sort of money to actually come out with exact cost of it. Because if it is due to an infection, which infection is causing it? If due to a disease, which disease is causing it? So once you are able to come out with the specific infection, then you'll see that you've sorted out already. You can then go ahead, get your treatment, and you treat it completely. Coming out with the specific infection is something that is also not easy, because the specific infection that might be causing you could be something that you really need to run different type of tests to come out with it to know exactly which specific infection is causing me to have these fertility issues. Let me say you get to the hospital and your doctor find out that no, you don't have emotional issues, you don't have menstrual cycle issues, or your history is okay. Then now your doctor have to move to infections to sort it out that which type of infection is causing you to have fertility issues. These infections now, for your doctor to actually know which type of infection, you see that a series of infections will be going on you. You have chlamydia, you have gonorrhea, you have pelvic inflammatory disease being checked, you have something like mycoplasma being checked, you have something like genital herpes, that is herpes simplex virus type 2 being checked. So all of this will be checked to know if there is one of this infection that's causing you to have fertility issue. So if one of it has been sorted out and known already that, oh, come on, it is actually chlamydia, it is actually gonorrhea, it is actually syphilis that's causing you, then it will help you out to know what exactly you can do to treat it. So you see that this one will be much more costly compared to, let me say, you're just having issues with emotional stress, and with emotional stress, this can be handled easily because you just need a discussion and that is all. So if you come out with, let me say, chlamydia is a cause, gonorrhea is a cause, mycoplasma is a cause, then you just go straight to this treatment and you treat it, and that's all, right? So if you go straight to the treatment of chlamydia, gonorrhea, mycoplasma, though it will be easier to treat because you've sorted it out and you know that it is chlamydia, it's gonorrhea that's causing you not to conceive. But what is going to cost you more will be the fact that to come out with this chlamydia or gonorrhea was not easy because you need to run a series of tests. Now, within the environment which you find yourself, these tests might differ in cost, right? Depending on your location, your environment. So within my community, averagely chlamydia is between 7 to 10,000 francs, depending on the type of chlamydia test you want to take. So if you have something like syphilis, gonorrhea, mycoplasma, syphilis within my area is somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000. Mycoplasma within my area is between somewhere between 10,000 to 15,000. So it will depend on your area and it will depend on the specific test that you want to run. So this cost of this test that you're going to undertake to know what is really the cause with the terms of infections will depend on your area, and it will also depend on the specific type of test that you want to undertake. So if you see your doctor say no, your fertility issues has nothing to do with, let me see, your um it has nothing to do with you having issues with emotional stress, then your doctor goes to infection to check your infections to see if infection is a cause, then infection could really be costly. It could really be costly because running all the other infections to know if which particular infection is the cause is really not easy. But when you come out with the specific infections to know that this is the specific infection that's causing you to have issues with your fertility, then it will be easier to target it. So if you come out with chlamydia or gonorrhea or syphilis or mycoplasma, which type of infection that you've come out with, you can easily now go straight to try and see how you can treat this infection. So this is very important because Once you treat it, obviously you can then move straight and you take your treatment completely. Once you have tested positive for any of the infections, you can now go straight to take your treatment. So that will be it for infection. The next set of things that will probably need to be checked will be your reproductive system. In terms of an ultrasound will be done. So your doctor will carry out ultrasound to see how, starting from your cervix, your womb, that is the uterus, your tubes, that is the fallopian tubes, your ovary, that contains the ovum, that's the egg. So this ultrasound, which is echography, is being done to know if your womb is okay, to know if your ovaries is also okay. Because if your two ovaries are not okay, let me say you have something like ovarian cyst, then this could also cause you to have issues with your fertility. Because ovarian cyst will actually cause the ovary, that's the egg that is supposed to be released, to maybe not be released normally, or even if it is released, you might actually have ectopic pregnancy because of it. Because once the egg is released, it has to come through the fallopian tube and down to what? To your uterus after fertilization. So this ultrasound is done to see how the major reproductive system, how they are doing, how they are. So once this ultrasound is done, and you can know exactly what is wrong with the reproductive system, then you can actually get the right treatment for it. Let me say it is ovarian cyst, you go ahead and you treat the ovarian cyst. Let me say it is, fallopian tube, probably blockage or whatsoever. You go ahead and you see how you can get the treatment. So if you have issues with your womb, that is your uterus, then you go ahead as well to see how it can be treated. So it will depend on which specific part of the the reproductive system have an issue here. So you see that the very first step, if you have fertility issue, will be what? You knowing if you have emotional issues, you have uh, mental issues, that mentally you're not okay, emotionally you're not fine. Then you go now to infections to see if you have problem with infections. If you have issues with infections, it can be handled and treated completely. Then the next thing is your anatomy. Your anatomy, that is the structure and functioning of the main reproductive organs. So go to the reproductive system to see what is wrong with the reproductive organs, and if you can come out with what is wrong with the reproductive organ, and it will be also be treated such that you can then know that no, you have sorted out. The next thing, if this has been sorted out, let me say you don't have issue with mentally you're okay, emotionally you're okay, then infections why you're also okay, there's no problem with infections, and your scan, that is echography, is done, and it shows that you don't have any issues with the vital organs. You now need to check your husband as well. So the sperm cells of your partner will be actually analyzed with semen analysis. So semen analysis will be done for your partner to see if your partner have issues with the sperm cells. Remember, under semen analysis, there are a lot of different things being checked for your semen, for your partner's semen. That is the the motility of the sperm cells, the count of the sperm cells, the morphology of the sperm cells, and the viability of the sperm cells. Hello, Stephanie. Sis, welcome. Thank you so much. Good morning to you. Melodies, welcome. Thank you so much. Good morning. So, under the viability of your sperm cells, the motility of your sperm cells, and the amount of your sperm cell, that will be checked for your partner to see if maybe your partner is really the cause of your fertility. So you'll see that if your doctor has actually checked that you don't have any issue mentally, emotionally, you don't have any issue, your doctor moves to infections, and the infections see that you don't have any issue with your infection, your doctor now moves to your main reproductive organs, the main reproductive organs, and see that there is no issue with your main reproductive organs. Now your doctor now moves to your partner to see if probably there is an issue now with your partner. And I've been saying that issue with your partner is something that is so important, because for women there are a lot of different issues that can cause you to have fertility issues. Yeah, pelvic inflammatory disease is really something that is a major issue, Sister Gaia. Pelvic inflammatory disease is a major issue, because pelvic inflammatory disease is actually caused by either chlamydia, gonorrhea. Those are the two major infections that will cause you to have pelvic inflammatory disease. So it's really a major issue, and ladies go through it. It causes a lot of pains to ladies. So if, let me say, you don't have issue emotionally with infections and diseases, you don't have an issue there, and then your doctor moves to your major organs to see how your major organs are doing through echography, that is the ultrasound, and your doctor see that your major organs are also okay. Your doctor now will move to your partner to see if your partner's semen is okay. That's to do semen analysis, or what we call spermogram, which is to analyze the sperm cells of your partner. And under the analysis of the sperm cells of your partner, there are major factors that have been taken into consideration here for your partner. They will make sure to see if your partner's sperm quantity is okay. You know, generally the normal sperm count is 20 million. You'll see that as we work like this as men, we carry at least 20 million sperm cells, but we are okay. Eh? So we carry at least 20 million children with us when we are working as men. So it's really not easy for men. You should also have some pity on us. So generally, when you do a sperm count, you're going to look at the count itself. That is the semen analysis. When you do the semen analysis, you're going to look at the count of the sperm cells itself. The next thing you're going to check for semen analysis is the morphology of the sperm cells. You're going to check how they are in terms of the shape. The morphology has to do with the shape of the sperm cells. If the shape is okay, then you also look at the motility of the sperm cell. If the sperm cell are moving, you look at the viability of the sperm cell, if they are viable. Under the amount, that is the sperm count itself, you're going to check if it is within the normal range accepted, that is not less than 20 million. So any man who has less than 20 million, consider the person to have low count. Somebody with 18 million, you say the person have low count. Somebody with 15 million, say the person have low count. And it will be shocking for you people to know that somebody will have 18 million and we still say the person have low count. 18 million is only a huge amount, right? But with 18 million, still say you have low count. Excuse me. And some people with even 20 million, 30 million sperm cells, the count that you might see might still not be enough to fertilize the egg. The reason being that during fertilization, there are a lot of different things that happen. So the steps for fertilization to occur is huge. So during fertilization, there is a first barrier that has to be with the sperm cell passing through the female genital tract. That tract like that has a lot of obstacles right up to when it gets into the fallopian tube for fertilization to occur. So all of that is not easy for sperm cell to move through. That is why the amount of sperm cells is very important. Many sperm cells will die before they even get through the female genital tract right up to the fallopian tube. Many will not even get to the fallopian tube. So if you have 20 million sperm cells, you will see that maybe just about 500,000 will actually succeed getting into the fallopian tube for fertilization to occur. Out of 20 million, before they get to the fallopian tube, just about 500,000. It therefore means that about 19 million something would have died. So that is why this amount is so important. So if you do the count and you see that the amount is less than 20 million, then by the time, let me say the person has 15 million, by the time you leave the genital tract right up to the fallopian tube, maybe there will be no sperm cell left. And that is where we really need the sperm count to be high. So we really need the sperm count to be some sort of at least that 20 million, such that even when some are dying, we'll still have some that will be left. The next thing is the motility of the sperm cell. So we check for the motility of the sperm cell. So most fertility issues are actually caused by maybe the lady having one or two issues. But if a fertility issue is being caused by the man, then to solve it could really be really difficult. Most fertility issues that are caused by ladies are easily resolved than that is being caused by the man. Because the sperm cell here, if there is an issue with the sperm cell, then you will see that it becomes really, really tough. If, let me say, the count is down, like really, really down, then it will be difficult for the man to actually raise it up. If you have extreme low fertility, then it will really be difficult. If you have extreme low sperm count, then it will really be difficult. That's what I'm trying to say. Then it will really be difficult. So if the count is really down, then it will really be difficult. The next thing is the morphology, that's the motility. So the person may have the sperm cells broad, they are not moving. So you have the sperm cells, you have up to, let me say, 20 million sperm cells, but you have 18 million of these, 20 million of the sperm cells that are not moving. Then obviously it will be difficult. It will be very difficult for you to impregnate your wife. It will be very difficult. If you have most of the sperm cells having morphology, that's the structure, not the normal shape of your sperm cell, then it will also be difficult for you to actually impregnate your wife, because you need all the shape, the shape of the sperm cell need to be complete for fertilization to occur. If the shape is not complete, then it will be really difficult for that sperm cell to fertilize an egg. And Sister Guy, that you spend money on tests and ultrasound. Is it for yourself or you're just saying generally? Because if, let me say, you have you don't have a problem, your partner is the issue with the count and the morphology or the motility, then if it is not sorted, if your partner's issue is not sorted, then it will be difficult for you to conceive. It will be difficult for you to conceive. Okay, you're talking about yourself. Oh, it's a pity. But what did you find out when you ran the test? You saw that you had no problem? Because fertility issues is something that you need to gradually do all of this, like I've said, emotionally, make sure that emotionally you're stable. make sure that you don't have an infection. If you've run the test and you see that there's no infection, then you run ultrasound, you see that you don't have any issue with your main organs. Then you also do what? You do HSG X-ray to snap your tubes. HSG X-ray will help you snap your tubes. Then you also make sure that you now check your partner's position. So you check your partner's position to know that your partner is also fine. So if you do all of this and you can't see, let me say you do all of that, you're fine, your partner is fine, then I will just say be you and you do the right thing, everything will be fine. Hopefully continue being you and then meet with your partner regularly, everything will be fine. I think I will just try to round up because I'm having some issues here. I'll just try to round up. So the cost of your fertility will depend on what is causing your fertility and the type of thing that is really like causing you to have that fertility issue. It will also depend on your region. If your region, let me say, this test to carry it out is so expensive, then obviously your cost will be expensive. It will also depend on your partner. Let me say you have an issue and your partner also has an issue, then it will be costly for you people to solve your issue as well as your partner's issue. Then once you have sorted out to know that no, this is the cause, from there you will be able to complete everything and you solve your issues. So if you've been having fertility issues, make sure that you can actually find out what is the cause. If the cause is emotional, maybe mental issues, maybe you're mentally disturbed, then that could be sorted out easily. If it's an infection, find the infection. If you have issues with probably your major reproductive organs that are having maybe one or two issues, then sort it out. If the issue is your partner, make sure that that could be sorted out as well, because if it is your partner, then the count is done. If the issue with the count, treatment will be given. If it is an issue with, let me say, the morphology of the sperm cell, treatment will also be given. If the viability, that is the motility of the sperm cell, that the sperm cells are not motile, then treatment will also be given. If all of these are also put into consideration and solved, your fertility will be solved and you will be fine. So thank you so much for being here. For those of you following other place, you follow and you can keep your comment section. We will be looking at the comment section. If you have a question, put under. If you have a contribution, you put under. So thank you so much. May God bless you and do have a wonderful time. Thank you.